Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smith of Smiths in the Black, and usually we do these on Mondays, but for summer hours, my partner here, JJ, is going to be sitting in for me on Mondays. So we'll be doing the Power Hour and Strat Attack on Tuesdays through Labor Day, and that's just how it's going to be. So if you're brand new here, welcome. This is where we get everything done. So when you get through the course and get through all the materials, and you have a couple trading days to start off the week to write down some questions or bring some trades that you've done, so we can figure it out. If you can't make it, you can always email the questions in, and I get to those first. That way, it's much better. You get the explanation. You also everybody else gets to hear it as well. So I would do that. So that said, also if you're new, the nightly vids and all the videos are on my YouTube for right now, and so that's Smith in the Black, all one word at YouTube. That's my channel. So if you got questions, start typing them in. I'm going to go to the questions here on the email first. Okay. Okay. And so let's see. Not able to make it tonight. Blah blah blah. Really enjoyed the room. Brand new day. All right. What should my scanner settings be to find good setups? You don't have to worry about scanning. I'll do that for you. But what I would suggest when you're starting out, and I suggest this to almost everybody, is you stay on 2-2 reversals or 2-1-2 reversals on the gapper list. If you want to call the audible after the strat time report, I'm good with that too. Because by that time I figured out a lot of stuff what's going on. Like today we knew healthcare and all that kind of stuff was going. So I would stick on the 2-2 reversals. So, and I wouldn't worry about scanning too much, because you'll just see that. So when I tell people to start off on the 30-60 gappers, what I want you to do is I want you to pull up a 30 and 60 minute. I preview them in the morning. But pull up the 30 and 60 20 minutes after the hour and 10 minutes before the top of the hour. That way you can see if a reversal is going to cause one from if the 30 triggers, if it will trigger the 60, right? If they can trigger anything on the 60. So that narrows your universe down right there. Is anything close to a reversal, or is it middle of the range looking like it's a stay inside, stuff like that. So that's what I would do with that. Um, and after seeing time frame continuity, what time frame should I enter and exit from? 30-60s. Stay on the 30-60s until, and then especially if you're brand new, and then that way I can see how you're coming along. Some people just pick this up like nothing. Other people it takes a little while, right? And that's okay. We'll get you where you need to be, but 30s and 60s is nice and slow, all right? And then you wait for the triangle day out, and then on off it goes. Here, let's get this out of here. Something like a GILD, where we knew we were going to be looking at that. And let me get rid of this. Get these charts bigger. So like a GILD, once this thing starts going, and so this will enter into another question that we get a lot here, is like, Rob, what do you mean by something going to the highs or going to the lows? And I said, well, that means that's a statement of fact for one. It's also giving you some color on what's going on in the market. And since we knew that IBB and XLV are strong, you can see how GILD here in 1 second. You'll hear me say wait for triangle day out. That's this right here. So at the time, GILD had a possibility of failing because this is an outside bar. And then it goes 3-2-2, but then 2 down, and then here's your reversal back with continuity to the upside right here. 2 down, 2 up, and boom. These guys are going to become an outside bar of this, and hopefully more, because we know bigger broadening formation here. So that's what I mean by waiting for them to triangle out on 30-60. Next question. Okay. Okay, let's see. Need to follow a specific set of rules. That makes me confident I'm doing the right thing on a trade. Okay. Overthinking, that'll happen, yeah. As of today, I'm only going to focus on trading daily setup. Scan for daily charts with inside bars or green hammers. The hammer can be either color, so that's irrelevant, except that you're closer to being going 2. Ensure they are full-time frame continuity up on the month and the week. Okay, that's good. Avoid any daily signals that are inside on the month or inside on the week unless they will trigger the higher time frame. That sounds good to me. Make sure I'm not at the top of the broadening formation. And yeah, and another important thing is check with me. Check with me and the community. If you type it in there, there might be somebody who's looking at the same thing, and they might have some different time frames for you and say, okay, well here's the problem with that, or I would say that, right? But checking with me is key. Remember, I work for you. Okay. And don't be afraid of things that are moving, right? Sometimes people get nervous and or impatient. As you wait for the triangle layout, they will, and if they don't, so be it. Off it goes. Bonus question. I enter a position on the daily and it goes up for the first 5 minutes after the entry, so I'm green, but then doesn't go anywhere for the next few minutes. Is this a sign to get out of it? Doesn't keep going right away, or should I be patient and let the move continue to play out through the day? Let it play out. It's still good. It's a winner. And what point do I cut it if it doesn't keep going? If it goes back to even? So long as it's positive, you can stay in, right? And I know it can be boring and sitting there, but you're in a winning position. Things are happening, right? That's good. Anybody else, if you're new, start typing in the questions here because I'm getting through these guys here. Next email. But I can't stress enough checking with me. Don't be a wallflower. Okay. Steve back with the question. It's at the open, some of these stocks out of the gate move incredibly fast. Is it okay to use the previous 30, 60-minute bars into a new trading day? It is. Yes, you can do that. Also, to catch these very fast movers at the open, would a buy stop limit order or buy stop order above the previous day's 30 or 60? You can do that, but make sure, if you're using buy stop limits like that, make sure it's a liquid stock, right? Otherwise, it's going to blow through there and you're not going to get anything. So I prefer to go market, or a few cents, a limit, like a few cents or whatever over the offer. And then if you miss it, you miss it. But if you're going to trade in the hot movers on the opening, you definitely want to be using hotkeys, right? Because pointing and clicking is going to get real frustrating real fast, right? But it's not hard to get yourself back in by just going boom, 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 right? But if you're pointing and clicking, especially on those 3 minute and 5 minute stuff, that's fast. Not everybody's built for that. Okay. Sunshines. Okay. Do you have any tips for trading closer to market opening for beginners? Due to time difference, it would help to learn to trade earlier. Well, if I was going to do that, just like I'm telling people to stick on 2-2 reversals on the 30s and 60s, stick on those. And be like, all right, if it's a gap and crapper, this thing should just crap out right away. 5 minutes should be 2 up, 2 down, and you can just take those. I wouldn't worry about the 3 minute, but you can stay in the 5 minute. Just have those hotkeys set. So when you nail it, there's a stop in there. And even if it's 10 times in a row you get stopped out, it's that time you don't. Groupon. See ya. Groupon, this is just gorgeous. This is just gorgeous. And so there's something I touch on every once in a while that's not in the course yet. Once we get more stabilized here and coming into the fall, there'll be more course material. But another thing you can do is called a continuity entry, okay? And so when you see it gap like this and then poke up a little bit but then go back red right here, as soon as that goes red, you can hit it, right? That's reversing these guys, right there, right? And like I said, sometimes you get that fiver that just goes boom. And then when you get something like this, depending on where we are in broadening formations and all that kind of thing, some people will just leave that stop in there and go away. Like when you catch a big chunker like this thing ain't coming back, right? This thing's not coming back, right? And just go away for the rest of the day and come back and say, well, I don't really have to cover. And then you just walk it down the highs of the days. Boop, 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 and you was still short. You're short from what was this opening? If you got this continuity opening, it opened at 40. It's trading 22.86, right? That'll make your whole month. So that you can do. And another good thing about trading the same condition, just 2-2 reversals, you get to understand that condition and see how that acts. Because you'll see when they kick in right away, right? It's the yield porch collapsing. It's not coming back, right? And if it waffles around a little bit, screw it. We want those gap and crapper, God help us, moves. And I hope that helps. And Moderna, let's take a look at Moderna. Yep, Moderna was a little quick on the 60, right? And it wasn't really a gapper because it was opening inside. It was just moving around, right? So if you go to the 60, this one might have been a little tricky because it kind of stalled out after the opening move. 30. This is a 3-2. Here's your continuity entry right here. This is a 3-2. That's a little aggressive. It's got to keep going, right? You don't mess around. When it stops, when that thing stops, no. Then here, you got your 2-2 reversal back up, but then stalled out again because you're stuck in this mother bar stuff in here. You had an inside 30 here. Was still directional because this was a 2 up. Then inside, then up like that. You could have gotten it right here when it goes 2-2 on the day. Boom, right there. You can take it there. Yep, right there. right there. 2-2 on a Tuesday, right? For newer folks and older folks alike, the reason this is 2-2 on a Tuesday is important is because here's your weekly opening, and when it took that, now it's green on the week. You reverse that, and then when you take that, now you've got your signal to reverse it. Right? And you go back into full time frame continuity to the upside, right? Because you changed that week back green. Something you'd want to know about. And bounced you 3 times before it went. Yeah. For newer folks, we call that doing battle, right? So if you have every reason to believe something's going to work and they get stopped out and then it re-triggers, get back in. Because all you're doing is getting caught in some micro tries. But eventually the porch collapses. Just keep hitting it. Yeah, and BNTX similar. Get boy. That stayed inside day though. That stayed inside day. Get better on the 2-2s. Yeah, like I said, if you just stay on them though, then that's your condition. You can always branch out. That's the thing about the strat. You can always do other things. It's just you don't confuse yourself, and that's a problem that a lot of people have as they start jumping around and trying to be the master of all strat things. And this time I'm going to take the rev strat. This time I'm taking the inside bar. Just study one condition for a while. 2-2 on the Tuesday. That's the reason you'll hear a turnaround Tuesday, but not why that would work. Right? I'm explaining to you why that would work. You are reversing the direction from the opening. That's a problem for the other side. It tells you weak hands on a Monday, getting mowed down on a Tuesday. Where do you think you're going? And one of the things I like about teaching the strat is it's repetitive and it's powerful. You can see this stuff happening all the time, right? And Kaz on the 2-2s and the 3-2-2s because the 3-2-2 gives you the triangle magnitude. Now, if BNTX can take this tomorrow, that'd be delayed rev strat. Boom. Boom. Cure something, would you? Have the magnitude built right in. Yep, value added. Well, I thank you. Phenomenal it is. And if it takes some people a little bit longer, that's just how it is. Certain people have certain aptitudes for it, and Oh yeah, natural buyers and magnitude is what he's saying. You get yourself a 322 or a 122, built right in, baby. Every reason to believe it's going over there. Up there, I'm like, up there. Because another important part of magnitude that you've also witnessed is exhaustion risk. It's like they go racing right up to where we know they're going to go, and then just kind of sit there and dud out, right? So that's kind of like the financials. They did what they were supposed to do. 322 monther, right? Hit magnitude in the FAS, right? And now back to inside day doing nothing. So we can still keep an eye on that because from the weekend vid, we still have a lot of magnitude left on like JP Morgan and stuff like that. But uh, this is not uncommon to just crap out a little bit. It's not the end of the world, but XLF, you just want to be aware of it. It does its job. That's when you'll hear me say it did its job. The 3, 2, 2, and these two become an outside bar, that outside bar. That's doing its job. Then we don't know. But you'd have to still have a reversal against you. So you had this outside day to the downside here in exhaustion, but still hasn't taken any major signal off the weekly. And Kroger. Well, Kroger exhaustion risks, and I'm trying to think if this is real or not. If they had some news or something, if this was real. So Kroger just kind of goes up and craps out. Here's what I'm talking about. There's your exhaustion right there. All right, so it comes running up. If you really wanted to go after this thing, there's your continuity entry right there. And then you had your inside 30, that's directional. And then yield stall out. So that was a little fast, and then wee. That's a technical term. Bad tickers. Okay. Also, for newer folks and older folks alike, another thing you hear me talk about a lot is you'll notice that when I go through things, depending on what's going on during the day, I'm breaking it down into the sectors. Right? That's what we want to know. That gives us a lot more evidence than picking out an individual stock. Because it tells us that the institutions are buying everything. So that's why we wanted to know about XLV and IBB. They were piling into all that stuff, right? That's something I'd want to know about, right? That's what we used to call Sasquatches. Those are the big boys. They don't like you to see what they're doing, and they get pissed, and they're fast, right? So oftentimes, when you have large buy orders, like they don't care about price right out the chute, and that's when you see things gone, right? And so let's say something like ANTM is nowhere near its highs, right, on the month. Hasn't even taken the week out. So you might get these guys in here really aggressive. Like yesterday, boom. They don't care. This is just their first round, right? That's what you want to look for. Monday and then the follow through Tuesday. This first round, they don't care. Today, maybe they walk it up a little bit, right? But oftentimes when you see simultaneous breaks across sectors and stuff like that, there might be a wave where they just don't care. They just don't care. They just need stock. And that's what we're looking for. So, like, when you watch the strat attack that I just posted, so far they're coming into some, obviously the healthcare, and they're coming into some XLP stuff. We can see that. The problem has just been not a lot of follow through in these things due to this tight range and stuff. But that's what we'll be looking at. They're also selling pandemics again. As Chicago goes back to mask mandate today. And so that gives us more evidence, right? Because a common mistake for a lot of people is they'll pour through hundreds of charts and then think that they're picking out, uh, you know, and they'll go through hundreds of charts where they're like, here's my two best ideas. It's like, no, you want to have sector ideas. That's much more. It's much more has much higher probability. And we don't have favorite charts. We look for how many twos are breaking and how many things are going three in the same direction. That's going to tell you what's going on, right? And that's why right now we got pretty much of a bit of a mixed market. If anything, slightly downside for the week, but now we're back to the middle of the week, so we yeah, get out. Just boring. So the thing about Kroger or anything like there's the question before, you don't have to get out. It's just going to bore you to death. Right? These guys short in here, these are the guys that got to cover. You don't have to do anything. Because another thing that can happen is, like I was just saying, is that right here, I don't care. I need stock. I don't care about price. Right here, I need stock. Right? Blast up into here and be like, okay, well, I got my big chunker, so I'm gonna put my bid right chunk. See if I can get it a little cheaper, and then I just never step up. Then we'll see what happens tomorrow if I still have stock to buy. But that's what they'll do. Run it, bid it, run it, bid it, and see if they can get any stock. And that's why measured moves work, is because you'll see a big run up and then a sideways where they just sit on the bid and then they don't get any stock, but they need stock, and then they run it again, right? Also, if you're using TrendSpider, make sure you use the promo code STRAT25. That gets you 25% off. STRAT25, all caps. Tell them Rob sent you. They love us. And that tells them that you're one of us, which gives us a little more leverage over there. Hey, Dan, we were thinking you should build us a this. Yep, okay. I love Dan. And I don't do any research over the weekend. Literally just show up and eat whatever Rob is serving. Tastes good and goes down smooth every time. Which is funny because T-Mobe's daughter has been trading the Strat 2 or 3 years now. And and a couple of years ago he asked and says, he says, he's like, asked his daughter's like, well, what do you do? Do you do the weekend video, the nightly video? She's like, no, I just go to the box where Uncle Rob types in the symbols. Was she 14 now? Been trading the Strat 2, 3 years. That's one of the great things about this too. Learn how to do this and then teach your kids. I remember a couple of years ago, Power Hour. She was listening with her dad, and she's like, "Daddy, can I leave? I already know this." Spike it. And this is, and just because outside bars exist, you're always looking for something like this here. The slight higher high of death. Slight higher high. It's a breakout, is it? Bam. Right there. Two up, two down. It's going to hammer. No, it isn't. Bam. Then inside 30 back up with the inside 60. So this is what I'm talking about here too. Right? So here, it went slight higher high, then slight higher high again. Then here, right? Boom. Right? Because at this point, that's the second hour. Boom. If that works, now you're changing this. Now you're changing the daily back red and the 60. Right? That's a problem. It's just like the 2-2 on a Tuesday, the second hour of any day. Boom. So you could have taken this here for the 2-2 reversal. You just get out, right? If it don't go. Learn this in guns. There you go. Gun sales and Strat, and that's all you need. That's all you need. Yeah, I guess I should get an email out to make sure everybody knows that Power Hour is going to be on Tuesdays for a while. Looks like we got a summer crew. And so, yeah, I can't stress. Thank you, Transpider. But yeah, especially if you're month or if you're using Transpider and you're trading the Strat, hit them up for Strat 25. Strat 25. That not only tells them that you're a stratter, that tells them you're one of my stratters. Just so you know. That's Rob. And a bunch of great guys over there. Take good care of us. See what they'll do. Can't hurt. So I forgot to give you Strat 25 code. And if not, don't forget next time. Don't, that's always good. No, those guys are very fair. In some places, they're almost more than fair with a lot of people. So I've been meaning to work with Dan to get better on it myself, so I can use it for webinars and stuff like that. And have a webinar coming up here with the Festival of Traders, I believe September 7th. So I'm going to be on there talking about how you can improve your trading by eliminating indicators. Eliminating indicators? Yep. Yep. Next up, indicator guy. Okay. Cass, you scan 10 minutes before the bottom of the hour and 10 minutes before the top. Just hit them 60 boys. $32 once they trigger. Let them trigger. Get boy. Right, get them early triggerers. Oh, it's a little slow. What the heck? Let's talk about some scanning. Let me pull up my TC2000 over here. Let me log in. He said log. Okay, so here. So this is what I was looking for. So here, there's a few things. When I'm doing strat attack, first of all, I can set this to the weekly. Who's up or down the most this week so far, right? You're going to see your Moderna, your Regeneron, ISRG. Now, not necessarily on a percentage basis, but that gives us my Molina Health, ANTM. You can see all the healthcare in there. PODD, UNH, TMO. That's all healthcare in there, right? That's something I'd want to know about, right? Then if you go to the downside. Then I go inside and up on the week. Oops. Cancel that. Sort by volume. Inside and up on the week. Who's that telling me? Yeah. Procter & Gamble, Mondelez, Campbell Soup, Pepsi, Colgate, General Mills, right? Clorox, Hormel. This is all XLP stuff in here, right? That tells me that's where they're going there. That's where your inside week and uppers are, right? Then, just like Tuesday is going to reconfirm Monday and the second hour is going to reconfirm anything, I'm constantly going to be over here saying, okay, who's taking out last month's highs? How many of them are there? What's the concentration? Right? Once again, you got Utes, Procter, stuff like that. There's some utilities, right? So not a ton here, right? Who's taking out last month's lows? Last month's lows. Memes. Wish, Sophie. You got Motors, you got Uber in there. MU, some gold. Right? A little bit higher of a number over here. You see that? That's a little concerning. But then you go to the week, change these to weeklies, and say, are these confirming back to the downside or not? Right? Each week I'm scanning on this, and then I'm scanning each day to see everything reconfirming what they're doing. You see? Let's go to the inside and down though first. So here, inside and down, Ford, General Motors, Uber, Oxy. So you're going to see some energies in here. You're going to see the pandemics that I talk about in StrataTac, PayPal, American Express, Conoco, APA, Halliburton, all energy. SQ is also an inside day. Lift with your Uber. And then if we go over here again, who's taking out last week's highs? Who's that? AMD got last week's highs. No. Why is that not monthly? Weekly. Why is it doing that? That's not the right. It's not switching to the week for me, that's why. Weekly. OTE. AMC, Pfizer, get more drugs. All right. Mr. Softy, GILD, Bristol Myers, more drugs. Procter, AbbVie, more drugs. Johnny John, Mondelez, more XLP. So you can see all that stuff. Abbott Labs, it's all druggies. Wonder what they're buying. Drugs. Same thing you are. Okay. Yes, so it's lows. Once again, there's your memers. Meme. All that kind of stuff. So just a little scanning techniques right there. And you see it jumps right out at you, and that's what, going back to what I was talking about with the simultaneous break. You can see exactly what they're doing. This is what they're doing, right? And then you come each day and say, are they still doing it? Okay. Right. When I'm saying wait for the 60, flip's coming. Be careful. Exactly. Mind the flip. Carvana. Let's take a look. What do we know to be true about Carvana? Let's shrink down this monthly a little bit. Tight. This is tight in here, right? So here's an attempt. You had an outside day down, just like the market. Still inside weak in red. So that would have to change if this thing's going up. But this would be your 3-2-2 reversal. It's just tight, right? Your exhaustion risk, so you can expect this kind of slop, which you got. Look at this nightmare. Chop 'em, shop 'em. So this is a little tight. They started to get interesting in here and then just dried up and died. Kaz also tightens up stops at the top of the bottom yard. Look what I did with SPY. I was in with you, but then they started buying the new 30 at 12 p.m. Central. Yep, covered enough. And yes, mindtheflip.com will remind you that the flip is coming. And Larry, since I know what to look for, I don't have days with losses anymore. No, might not make any money, but I don't lose anymore. Right. Which was the first thing I ever said when I got on the headset. I'm going to teach you people how to not lose, not get killed. Like, what? Like, that's a thing. We'll work about making money later. Right now, you got to stop losing. Stop the bleeding. And that's another thing that's important when you're learning the strat. If you're losing, stop trading. Don't try and grind your account. That's a big mistake. It's one of the best things I ever did when I started trading. When I started losing, I'd stop. So whatever I'm doing is not working. Whatever I'm doing is not working. Re-enter for still exit on the flip. That's good. Because another question I get a lot too is like, what time frames? And that's why I say 3060s makes it easy, but I want to show you something crazy on TC2000. All right. Where's the time frame on this? Get a chart. And so here, you can use a multitude. This is why the strat is really endless. Look at all these time frames here. 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 13, 15, 26, 30, 39, hourly, 65, 78, 2 hour, and all of it is valid. You could have a 3-day rev strat triggered by a 4-hour rev strat, or a 39-minute inside bar triggering your 4-day chart. It's crazy how many levels you could take this to, right? And it's all valid because all we're doing is identifying participants by price and time. These guys trigger these guys, right? Took a bunch of trades, loses in the end. It was $5. There you go. I was like, I'm getting killed. It's not $5. Keep them stops tight, folks. It's just like fishing. Once you know you got one on the line, boy. Where's it going? Up there. These guys aren't running the ball unless they're setting up the punt. either way. But always who's in trouble, who's in trouble, and who's aggressive. Who's aggressive? Your continuity. Because that's another mistake people make. They'll be like, but it has full time frame continuity. I'm like, it does, but by like 2 cents. It's not really aggressive. That's why we say we like the nice long red and green bars. Enter trade when there's no volatility. As time goes on, I keep moving the stop closer to my entry point. If the stock does not move immediately after my entry, works well. Yep. And also being able to gauge magnitude, how far something's going to go. So like in here, looking to go down, take this thing out, right? When we had the 2260 here, bam, these guys are going to be coming outside bar of that. And your hopes is you stop these guys out too, which you did. And then once it starts going back up, unless you have a reversal against you, now you're going to take this out, go back up. The moves get bigger. Thus the name, broadening formation, gets bigger. And I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen someday. We haven't had a 2 down in SPY since a year ago March. You're going to love when that happens. Trust me. This is when the strat goes into overdrive. Where most people are like, crazy market. Nobody could trade. Boom. Last March, almost everything was a 2 down. Almost. That's a simultaneous monthly break. Someday it'll happen again, and you'll be ready for it. Because then you had this 3 a year ago. That spooked him a little bit, but you couldn't follow through. And there's your 3, 1, 2, and right back up. And 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Boo. Gently, it depends. Usually it's a little faster on the downside. Fear is a stronger emotion than greed. I'm losing my money. Get out, puke. SQ, you've got inside week and down and inside day. So, you got mother bar problems on the week a little bit. So the question is, do we just stop these guys out and then go inside and go back up here, right? And go Rev Strat day. I mean, setting up the Rev Strat week. Or do we reconfirm by puking? That's what we're looking at. Bit of a chopper in here. That's what an inside bar would look like. No touchy. You can see this nightmare here. Here's your mother bar problem. All these guys are inside of this. And it's not like in a real discernible sector. It'd be another problem, but here's that nice rev strat up into exhaustion risk. Inside, poke down, boom, machine gun through these guys. Hopefully all that makes sense. All right, see you in the morning. Well, maybe we'll cut it just a little bit early. It's a little slow here in summertime. A lot of folks doing something. SMA show you about it. So SMH, what do we know to be true? That's a potential 3. That's a problem. That's a problem. And you're 2 down on the week. As far as we know, you're 2 down. 2 down today, coming back to the previous range. So that's a potential problem for them. And you got NVIDIA earnings coming out, I believe, tomorrow. ALKS, potential 2-2 back up and back to these things, guys, on the daily. That was almost in the vid, should have been, because we're still watching this giant monthly. Used to be somebody coming back through all this stuff, right? So triangle layout yesterday and fighting back today. A little tight, but you're in the right neighborhood because it's IBB stuff. So, because just like I was saying, that simultaneous break, so it's good. It's like then you can just rifle through all the SMHers, right? IBB's a little fragmented. A lot of bio crappers in there. It just gives me the heads up to look through a ton of them. That was you blowing out, so I've had enough. No mo. Can always get back in. Yes, I'm taking the Mondays off. JJ will be sitting in. But oh boy, Tuesday makes Tuesday a long day now, doesn't it? 4 videos. 4. And headset. And also, if you're not, I know some people in and out because of work, but if you missed the Strat Time report, I would watch that and go back through what we were talking about and see what happened. Rob will come back for the 2-2 on the Tuesdays. That's I was joking with Danny Bones last night. I'm like, we'll let the Pikers have them Mondays. We'll put the starters back in on Tuesday. Cremate these guys. Nice little 60 rev strat you got here, buddy. How do I get back in? 3, 1, 2. Is this a 3? Ooh, by half cent, this is actually an outside bar. Well, speaking of summer, questions have slowed down a bit. So, unless there's anything else I can do for you, maybe we'll just call it here. Slackage. Once again, if you can't make it, make sure that you send an email in and we'll get to the questions. As for right now, we got SPY with the 3-2. What's the next 2? I want to know. Middle of the range on the outside week. That will change. Okay, sounds good. All right, everybody. That's going to do it. Everybody have a good night. We'll see most of you up bright and early in the morning. I'm Rob Smith, the Smith in the Black, here at the CP Group with another. Uh-oh, I missed one. Oh, you might mention slight higher high of death. or lower low. That's why we get out when something comes back in. That's why we keep the tight stops, because threes exist. Now, in some cases, like Sarah will give it like 50% of the candle, just because you would have to do that to go three. But before that, you're still a two up, as far as we know. But that's why we have exhaustion risk. Are we coming back to a previous range, right? What are we doing here? Because things will fail. We know that. You just got to get out of the way. It's like throwing a brick at a. It's like throwing a brick at a sideways trampoline. It better go through that thing, because if it doesn't, you got problems, right? Okay, good. So on that note, we'll call it, and we'll see you in the morning. And next Tuesday for another Power Hour. And like everything now is on my YouTube, so I'm going to post this. I'll be tweeting out the Strat Attack show, and that's on the YouTube already. So everybody have a wonderful night. And don't do it. Look out. That thing's coming right back. Look out. Where do you think you're going? Here comes the three in the head. All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see you bright and early.